Hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and I know you go onto all of the fancy model shops on the internet and you look at all the fancy models that you might want to buy, and maybe you sneak them into the cart or trolley or basket, whatever that website particularly uses, and you think, what if I had a budget, an imaginary amount of money that I could spend? What would I buy for that? Well, I do exactly the same thing, and to stop myself from spending far too much money doing that kind of thing, I have started this little series, my £50 speculative shopping list challenge. So I'm going to go through, in this case, that way, Titan Wargames, and I'm slightly covering up their logo, sorry. I'm going to look at all of the models on their website, I'm going to pick out all the ones that I like, and then I'm going to whittle it down to £50, and we're going to see which of the models of Titan Wargames would I actually pick. Now, Titan Wargames is not necessarily one of the shops that I would usually pick for this kind of challenge because they're actually a smaller shop. But that's kind of the reason why I want to include them, because they're a smaller shop and they're less well known. But on top of that, I actually met them, and I kind of embarrassed myself a little bit when I met them. And so this video is also a little bit of an apology for messing up that, because I met them at Salute 51 a few weeks ago, and when I went down to the stall, the owner of Titan Wargames wasn't actually there, they were on a break, they had a representative there, and I talked to the rep, I had a lovely conversation with the rep, talked about wargaming and painting models and all the rest of it, and looked at the fancy models that were on their display. I bought some models which I'll mention in a moment, and then just as we were wrapping up the conversation, the owner of Titan Wargames came back, and I said, well, thank you very much, goodbye. What an idiot I am. But no, I kind of blanked on that one and just spoke to the very lovely representative, and then didn't talk to the actual guy that owns the company. Kind of a funny story, but let's get stuck in. One thing I want to mention actually before I get started with the store here is the lore here. And in the lore section we can actually have a whole bunch of stories about, there's only stuff about the dwarves at the moment, I'm sure that more is coming. But some of these relate directly to models that we're going to have a look at, but they're just little stories. I shouldn't really show it on screen, well, it's publicly on their website so you can go and have a read of it yourself, and it certainly is just cool to have that kind of lore up front on the website, and it's not something I've necessarily seen a lot of. Usually with kind of the wargaming scene, the website is, hey, look at this cool stuff that we have, here's our games and here's our models, buy stuff. Whereas this has actually got, here's the story to enjoy as well, and I like that, it's a nice touch. But let's skip ahead into the store. So we have the Dwarves of Vorganash, the Goblins of the Deep, the Orcs of Urga. We also have a little bit of scenery and Admiralty miniatures. I should also point out, just before we get started, that I do have a set of guidelines, not necessarily rules, for my £50 challenge. It does say in there that any model that's being retailed from another company isn't really included. I want to focus on the products of the one company that I'm looking at, and if there's some stuff from another company, I might look at that other company in another video. But Admiralty Miniatures only has 3 models on here, so just as a kind of bending the rules a little bit, I am going to include them, and particularly because the Petrified Sorcerer just looks kinda cool. We have some statue paint, like the painting of this one is really cool, as a statue with the fire coming out. And here we have a more kind of scenic OSL kind of style there. So actually, straight away, I am going to include this. Even if Admiralty is a separate company, I'm including it for my challenge. And I'm going to put that on as the first model on my shortlist today. The scenery section is quite small, so there's just a house the dwarves live in hexagon houses? Maybe they do. Maybe they are secretly bees. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this, although the roof does come up with the hex grid on the inside, so you can play various games inside the house as well. But let's have a look at the actual dwarves themselves, which is kind of the cool thing, and it is the main focus of Titan Wargames at the moment. So we have some infantry, and the first of the infantry is some heavy infantry. Do we get a bigger... Oh, we do get a big picture. Good. Those helmets, bro, that helmet, is that the Mandalorian's helmet, or am I just imagining? It's a similar style. It's not quite the same thing. I guess it's just a generic shape that is involved in a lot of helmets would end up with that shape. But I like that one. I like this kind of hockey mask one going on. I kind of like the shields as well. They're different styles. Like, yeah, the layered. I like the layered metal. It gives you that opportunity to separate the colours and make it a bit more visually interesting. I like that. And we've got a picture of the sprue, the resin casting for them. Nice. I think I will put those on the shortlist. And let's have a look at the Royal Guard. Ooh, I like that the beards are like dreadlock beards. You get a lot of kind of Nordic style braids and things, but these are done far more like dreadlocks. I like that style, actually. And they're done in black rather than the more traditional orange. I wonder if I would paint them in a more traditional orange. I really like the gauntlets on this. They look so chunky. They almost don't need hammers. They just wade in and punch people with those gauntlets. I think those would actually win up over the infantry. They do look really cool. So we have some dragoons, but they seem to be musketeers. We have a couple of loading cones and axe bayonets. I'll approve of the axe bayonet. Yeah, I like that. I do kind of like them. But I think the pose, they're all in the same. Like, if we have a look at this one, there's a couple of them in the background that are a different pose, but all of these, the aiming pose, it's a bit samey, which makes sense because when you're firing in a rank, you do take the same stance as everyone else because that's how accurate shooting works. For my interests, I don't want to kind of rank them up for a rank and flank style game. I want to have like a couple of models kind of dotted around in more of a skirmish style. So cool for what they're actually intended for, but not for me. The word dragoon is historically used to mean soldiers who ride to battle on horses usually, or on some kind of mount, and then will dismount and fight on foot. Whereas these guys don't seem to have any mounts, they're just musketeers. Oh, okay, so you can buy the rear rank and the front rank separately. I didn't realise that. So these are the more interesting ones, like I was saying, the different poses. So yeah, I'll keep the rear rank. Interesting. I didn't realise that that's the way it worked. Oh, heavy infantry command with the dreadlock beards and the armour and this kind of... I'm not sure I like this helmet as much. It looks a bit more kind of like a blob. But this one with the grill, kind of like that. So this one's got a drum and this one's got a flaming battle standard. That looks kind of cool. And these two models, how much are they? So it's £5, $2.50 model. That's not too bad, especially for such a small company. Ooh, we have the green stuff version as well. Nice. Okay, that helmet does look better like this. I think it just needs... It needs some flat spots. It just needs something to make it a little more interesting. Maybe some freehand, honestly. Paint it silver and then paint some freehand on it, like a hammer or an axe over the brow. That would probably be enough. And then the Royal Guard command. That style of masking. And I really actually do quite like this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's having a whale of a time. Look at him. He's having a great time. I like that. That model's going at the top of the shortlist, as is the rest of the set because they come together. We've got another flaming banner and we have a trumpet this time with a warhammer. Very nice. Spiked. Spike and a flat for the utility there. This guy's just got flats on him. Which one did I have? So I'm going to have to check, but I actually think I bought the heavy infantry command. I'm not sure if I bought this one or the Royal Command. I thought there was 2 models in it. So it's probably this one. And so we also have the Dwarf Warband. And this is going to start including some of the character models as well. We see this is the Heavy Infantry Command, the drummer and the banner. And looks like Heavy Infantry. So I'll have to check on this, but we've got the Heavy Infantry and the Heavy Infantry Command. And then we have some of the character models here. I think we should look at the character models separately, actually. But then we can come back and see which ones they are and if there's any that aren't sold separately. So, character models. Bragnor! Who is just a big beard, to be fair. Is that part of his beard or is that part of his helmet? I'm not sure. Armour over the top of your beard. That's a dwarven thing that I hadn't considered before, but is very dwarven. Not 100% on this one in comparison to some of the others. Morog. Oh, this one's better. Big grumpy face. Look at that. He's done with your rubbish. Go on. Have a pistol with a bayonet. Nice, nice. I like that one more. We'll see if that stays around. It might not. Grulka. So we have a female dwarf, which is nice. She's very upset with you as well. She's got a musket with a loading cone as well. I'm not convinced by... It might just be the pose. It's a little... Like, I like the stoic, confident, standing with a weapon kind of pose. I've painted several models like that in the past on the channel and otherwise. But there's something about this one that it's just... It doesn't quite capture that feeling for me. She's more upset than confident, maybe. I don't know. I do like the model, but I don't think I like it as much as some of the others. We can come back to it. Sinner and Dun, the Pyromancer, with a bloody hand and an unkempt beard, like just a straight beard, not the dreadlocks like the others. I do like the mask, and this is a much less armored version than the other. I don't think I'm a fan of the helmet as much. I think it's similar to the one we mentioned earlier, that kind of blob helmet. I don't know. I'm not a fan as much. It is cool, but not for me, I think. Hazard Flamebeard. Better on the helmet, but then I'm just the pose. I think the pose isn't doing it for me. And look at the OSL on these, just the little glinting reflections on the armor. It's very well painted. I'll give it that. Ignis Bright Flame, the Pyromancer. I like this pose a lot better. Unfortunately, we only have the one image of this, but I do like this pose. Almost like a firebender kind of avatar, kind of. I'm in a pose ready to do some kind of spell. And she's Pyromancer, so that does make sense. The armor's kind of almost, I want to say Roman, but I'm not sure if it's just similar shapes that I'm connecting, not being an expert on Roman armor. But there's something about this that is kind of speaking to me in that kind of Roman style. Painting that would be interesting. I'll keep this one. I like that. Yeah, I'm definitely having the cannon. Oh, look at her! Look at the side cut on this one. Yeah, that's cool. And an eye patch. So the cannon's definitely reliable. This guy has had enough of your crap. This guy's got a cheeky little smile on. He's ready to load up is that a canister shot? Powder measure and a canister shot. It is a shrapnel cannon, so that would make sense. I like that it's on this this odd, almost platform, this flat platform, because when you're moving it, this is going to give you some space to store stuff. Look at me with my just wanting to put stowage on everything brain. I like cannons to begin with, but this one, very nice. And it opens out. Interestingly, it opens out flared, similar to some of the loading cones on some of the muskets, but we actually don't have it flared out on this. It's just thick, like the bore is the same all the way to the muzzle, but it's just thicker and it flares out the side. So I have no idea why you would have that. Is there a better shot of... Oh, there is. Yes. Yeah. That's cool. And that's facing the player. That's facing the Dwarven player when you set that up. That's not facing your opponent. So when you play with this model, you get to see how cool that looks. Yeah, I like that. So now that I've looked at all of the characters, I've come back to this bundle pack. So all of the characters are sold separately. I think that I prefer some of the other characters over this. This is £30 for 11 models, so it does bring the price down a little bit of a deal going on there. If you did like these particular ones, or if you just wanted a selection of dwarves, this is a great set because it does look really cool. And if paint them in the same style, they'll look great together. But for me, I think these aren't the characters that I was looking at. There were other ones that I preferred, so I'm actually going to preempt my whittling, and I'm going to drop the warband off of the list and have a look at some goblins. Horncrown, the Goblin King, up first. Not looking too well. Maybe he wants to go see the doctor and get some cream for that head. Good grief. Yeah, yuck. It's a cool looking model though. I like the style of it. Ooh, the Goblin Shaman. I actually do quite like this one. Carrying a skull, and he's got some kind of, so it's humanoid skull in his hands and then an animal skull as a shoulder pad, and the kind of pose and the kind of wiry spindly nature, I like this one. So you also have a command unit for the goblins, so a battle standard of some kind with various skulls on it, a drummer with that helmet. Looks like a, do you think these are taken from the dwarves? Are these battlefield pickups? They might be. And then this one with a thing. Paint it yellow so we can know how big it is. Aha, and a warband option, which it doesn't include the one I want, the shaman. But we do have a bunch of infantry. I think this is just the infantry option for it. So £15 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 models. So it's about £2 a model, so it's a little bit cheaper than the dwarves, and they do look pretty cool. But we also have the Court of the Goblin King, which does include the shaman that I want. So it's 13 for £25. So it's about that £2 a model mark. But we've got basically the full set, I think. We've got the command unit at the back. We've got the characters, both characters, and then we've got the infantry. So I think this is the full line of the goblins in one go. £25 for the lot. Not bad at all. We'll have to see whether I pick this as half of our budget, £25, or whether I pick the shaman just by himself to give myself some more dwarves. It's an interesting question. We'll come back to that. But for now, let's have a quick look at the orcs. From what I understand, the orcs are newer, and there's only 3 of them. It's all character models, so let's just have a look. Gazkan Kurz. Kind of just that classic D&D, not quite Warcraft, more of a D&D orc. That hook, kind of that spike at the end of the sword, is very Lord of the Rings inspired. I like that as well. That's a cool one. Corda Undra, flat bladed all the way, like no point at the end of that sword. Nice. That is a barbarian sword if ever I saw one. Definitely the D&D style orc more than anything else. Fancy boots. A one-sided top there with belts on the other side. Okay, that is a fashion choice. She can wear what she wants to wear. That's fine. But that's pretty cool. Actually, I think like these two together are gonna look really cool. They've actually got the same kind of Mohican kind of hairstyle as well. I like both of those. And we have Kurlatan, who's almost again, it's going into D&D orcs, because we've got the barbarians, but now we've got almost a monk or maybe a cleric style. You could probably use it for either there. But I like that he's got a very human-looking beard. A lot of orcs in a lot of settings have a very orc-style beard, that like a beard or in a way that humans don't grow. But this one's got a very, very human-like beard on a human-like face. It's certainly an orc's face with the tusks in there. I like that one, but I think I like the barbarian orcs a little more. And I think, strangely, I did mention that this was a smaller web store. That's the entire line. And so I'm now going to go through my shortlist, which is pretty much half of the website, I'll admit, maybe even more than, and whittle it down to my £50. And this kind of goes into why I haven't looked at necessarily the really small shops like this before, because with so few choices, I end up picking most of the shop for £50, although in this case there is enough to actually whittle it down. But I also mentioned I really like Titan Wargames. The products they have are really good. The dwarves that I picked up from them are really cool, and I'm looking forward to painting those at some point. So yeah, let's stop rambling and let's whittle it down. So my first step is to throw all of the models that I really like to one end, and then kind of go through each of them and decide maybe I don't like some things, drop them out, but it's all to push the stuff I really want to keep to one end and see how much we get. So Marog was pretty cool with his bayonet pistol, but not necessarily one that I definitely want. Ignis was, with her kind of Roman armor and the firebender's pose, so that's going to the top. Cannons definitely, yeah, let's have that picture. Yeah, the cannons definitely going to the top. So the dwarf and heavy infantry, I like the armor, I definitely like the shields as well. Yeah, I much prefer the Royal Guard. In fact, I think I'm going to throw the Royal Guard up to the top as well. The rear line of the Musketeers, the Dwarf Dragoons. I prefer the rear line to the front line because they're more interesting. Not necessarily ones that I definitely want, but I'm certainly going to keep them around for the moment. Oh, the Royal Command. This guy, look at him. He's having a great time. Look at him. He's having a great time. I'm keeping it around just for this guy. Yeah, so this is going to... So with the Goblins, what I'm going to do is the Shaman, and then the £25 set that also includes the Shaman are going to be moved to the top, and all of the other Goblins are going. So yeah, the £50 set of the infantry, like the infantry, but they're not. It doesn't include the Shaman. If that included the Shaman, that would probably be kind of the perfect pick for me. And for the Orcs, I think I'm keeping the two Barbarians, Curse and Crawler, but not the Monk. And Petrified Sorcerer, let's keep that for the moment, but it's not going at the top of the list. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go back through the list. What I would usually do at this step is pick anything that's kind of £20 or more and whittle it down to one. In this case, we only have the bundle and the cannon. And so I actually don't think it's much of a fight there, because I think the cannon's almost certainly going to win. In fact, the cannon is winning that already, because the Goblin I really want can be got separately. So I am going to get rid of the Court of the Goblin King, even though I think that's a really good deal. For our budget today, I'm going to have the separate Shaman, and the Dwarf Shrapnel Cannon is going to be my bigger spend, £20. I think I do have to whittle it down a bit more. I have to get rid of probably some of the smaller ones. So I think the Dragoons rear rank, as interesting as they are, I think we can drop those for the moment. The Admiralty Miniatures Petrified Sorcerer, again, I like it, and it would go well as a statue to go with some dwarves, but I think not today. Same with Marog, cool model, one of the more interesting ones I think, and I like how it's painted, but I think we can drop that. I'm just going to count up and see how far we've got and see how far we have to cut back. So we're just over £60 actually, and I think if I drop the Royal Guards, I'd be just below 50, or I might not be. I might have to drop one more thing after that. I like the Royal Guard though. Would it be the Royal Guard Command instead? No. The Royal Guard Command is definitely winning over the Royal Guard Infantry. Yeah, I really like that armor, but it has to go, unfortunately, just for today. I think I'm at £50, so I'm going to throw it all into the cart, and we'll see if I've made some mistakes along the way. And I just noticed here, it's not a cart or a trolley or a shopping basket, like I said, it's add to bag. So we're definitely leaning on the D&D side of things. Hey, how about that? £49, I was correct. Let's pop open the list and see what I picked. So for the big spend, I went for the Dwarf Shrapnel Cannon. I finally picked a cannon. Guys, I know you've been mentioning this in the comments before, that I keep picking cannons in every single video and the cannon always gets dropped. Well, I finally brought one to the end and we've selected one at last. The Dwarf Shrapnel Cannon. I would like a pile of these canisters and the powder measures. That would be cool, or a barrel of powder. But that's fine. That's easy to kit bash up, something like that. But yeah, this cannon and just the way it's painted is really nice. I love it. So we did pick the Royal Guard Command with this happy fellow in the corner here, and we did get one of those masks that I mentioned. And the last of the dwarves that we picked was Ignis Brightflame the Pyromancer, with that very cool, very powerful pose. I like that a lot. Serious, stern expression on her face. I like to practice painting faces. This is a good one to go for. We did pick a goblin. It was just the goblin shaman in the end. We didn't get any of the bundle deals. I do think that £25 bundle deal is really good, but just for the challenge day, I can't have all the things. I can't have it just because it's good. I can't have it, so I have to bring that down. And I think the goblin shaman is certainly where I'd want it to be. The best of the bunch. I do like that. Unfortunately, that is the only one of the goblins that made it through. We did get 2 orcs coming through, both of the barbarians, so Kurz and Condra. Even with that questionable choice of clothing, I definitely want to paint her faces like the kind of the eyebrow, because I think that would fit. Like the slightly uneven sculpting of the face, I think it would suit that kind of and Gazan, just a classic D&D orc, which I've got a load of orcs, but I've got 40k orcs. Don't have this type of kind of the classic D&D orc, so it is something that's missing from my collection. So there we go. That is the £50 challenge done for Titan Wargames. Smaller shop, but certainly some interesting stuff. Obviously, the most of what they do is the dwarves, but they've got a couple of goblins with some nice options and a couple of orcs. Not many, but some good ones. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm not affiliated with Titan Wargames. I'm not on their payroll. I'm not being paid to do any sponsored video or advertising for them. This is just, I liked the stall when I went to Salute, and I thought I'd have a look, and the nice little website with the lore, with the stories, that I'm actually going to have a good read of those at some point soon. And of course, I'm not asking for Titan Wargames to send me free stuff. I know people have accused me of trying to get free stuff out of companies. No, that's not how this works. I'm a nothing channel. No one knows who I am, so no company is going to want to send me free stuff for that kind of thing. Calm down, chill out. I'm just having a bit of fun, looking at some cool models and trying to convince myself not to buy them. Although that cannon is still staring at me across the screen there. Stop. It's right there. It's right there on my screen looking at me. That cannon and £25 set of the goblins, and then the 3 orcs and all of the dwarven characters and the dwarven royal guard. No, stop it. I'm not buying it. I have already bought models from Titan Wargames. I bought some at Salute, and at some point in the not too distant future, I should probably get my dwarves together and get them painted, because I've got dwarves from a few different companies actually, and it would be nice to do a comparison video. But certainly Titan Wargames dwarves are some of the nicest in my collection, and so I can definitely recommend them in that kind of way. I am rambling, as I usually am at this point in the video, and it's also relatively late, so I should probably wrap up and go to sleep. Please do post a comment down below if you have any comments about Titan Wargames, the models that I've selected, or if I missed anything. I think I hit everything on the website this time, which I usually don't get to do, but it is a smaller shop, as I've mentioned. And of course, you can mention any other web shop or kind of thing for me to have a look at in a future video. I do have a running list, and I'm trying to keep track of who recommends which shop, so that I can mention them in future if I do those videos. But for today, I think we've done what we need to do for Titan Wargames and my £50 challenge. We ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 infantry plus the actual gun itself for the cannon. So that's not a bad haul. I think we've had anything from 10 to 25. So it's right in the middle of the range. Good value, good quality, and a A small selection, but a nice selection of stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Didn't I just say that I was rambling and I should finish the video? I should probably finish the video. Comments below. I'm ED-SKaR, always will be. Thank you very much for watching.